Good morning and welcome to Irreverent Knits. I am Tracy, owner of Low Country Shrimp and Knits, and with me is Judy.
The frog.
I was going to say the tuberculosis survivor, but the frog works too. The frog
I
works.
just sound like a frog.
Wait till she coughs. It's so attractive. I'm like, ooh, Judy.
They say it only lasts 6 to 8 weeks. I'm on week 4. God, we've both been sick.
This was a tough time last
You're wondering
month.
why you haven't seen us in a month.
Yeah, you're
and
like,
why I look like this.
What is missing from you all other than the pallor that you're all surviving here? We both had a heck of a cold. Well, I don't even know, flu, cold. I don't even know what it was.
I don't know what it was. Sinusitis, you know.
It's sinusitis. It was just a pile of hideous.
Well, that's what the doctor said. The doctor said to me, what did the doctor say you had? Because I ended up in the emergency room. And I said, sinusitis. You know, the thing that you all say when doctors don't know what it is?
Mm-hmm.
They say sinusitis.
Itis, inflammation of. You can just say anything. I think I just have like bodyitis. I think that's why I've put so much weight on is bodyitis. It's just it's just inflammation.
Ended up in the emergency room. My husband ended up at urgent care twice.
Oh God!
I think we're finally on the mend.
No COVID, just some crappy.
Oh, it's a crud that's going around here.
Just a crappy crud. So, I don't think I was as rough as you guys were because I definitely didn't. But it was a few rough days. But anyway,
you got over it in like 3 days.
Yeah, I don't have time for that.
Was like
I tell my body, I'm like, you got a couple of days and
3 weeks for
no
us.
mas.
It was awful.
No mas. So anyway, welcome back. Today we are going to talk about a couple of things. I'm going to talk about Patty Lyons' knitting bag of tricks. So I'm excited about this one. Look at this. This is interesting because right now I'm on YouTube and also on Instagram. And the book is not the backwards here, but it is here.
Which way is it backwards?
It's not on here. We got the right cut here.
And usually it's backwards on here.
I know.
No, it's usually backwards on
Today
here.
we're just we're such IT savants, really.
Well, you notice how much room we have too.
Mm-hmm.
We're in the new space.
We are in the new space. So we will take you on a quick tour of that. It's not that much bigger, but now the classes are in the other room. And so this room is all yarn and yarn fun stuff. So when you called me yesterday, I had 8 people in here. I did.
And it was not crowded.
Yeah.
It was not crowded.
Well, yeah.
That was including somebody sitting on a chair, Mary Beth.
Yep. So we've got lots of space and new stuff coming in. That's exciting. So we'll kind of get into that. We've got a few other things that we're working on. I have some questions that people have asked that I want to kind of talk about quickly. And what we've been working on, our works in process. I've been crazy, insane between being sick and moving the shop. That I haven't, my knitting suffered.
Well, I felt bad. I got sick when you moved. So
yeah, you're like, oh, look.
That's right.
I'm so sick. I can't help you move 7,000 skeins a yarn. So sorry.
I was like, I should be on my back when I should be there with Tracy.
No, it's fine. I'm too. My stepmother, bless her heart, came and helped me, and my father-in-law hung up all the grids for the wall so I could hang. And so now you can actually see variegated yarn as opposed to just going, look in here, it's so pretty. You'll love it. And people are like, how long have you had this yarn? I'm like, I don't know, like 2 years. Come on in, check it out. So
we've never seen this yarn before in our life. Yeah. We don't know where.
It's been here. We just haven't had the space for it. So so that's what's going on here. Happy February, almost Valentine's Day. So people, if you want to know what to give your loved one that's a fiber enthusiast, we've got the idea for you.
First up,
yarn bouquets. Here they are. Aren't they lovely? Aren't they lovely? Second one. Is this one little shades of yellow? Third one. Purple.
Aren't they gorgeous?
I have a white one too somewhere, but I don't know.
I don't know where to.
I don't know. I'm just super disorganized. So
I may have laid it somewhere.
I want to be like, I know I'm in the new shop. I'm all organized. Slice.
Thank you so much.
Yes, I love you.
I always wanted to carry around a bouquet.
Oh, you've got like 3 of them. You're like Miss America here. So those are always good ideas. And if there's one that's specific color that you want, I can custom design one for you too. So you can always reach out to me, Shrimp and Knits.
I just think they're adorable.
gmail.com, and they don't die. So, when you've got yours You can keep it forever or just use it and then, recycle all your flowers into something else more fun. So that we've got going on. Also, you can always do kind of a theme if you wanted to. I have this little guy here.
That's gorgeous.
So you could do all these different yarns. I'll show you them individually in a minute, but just kind of keeping around a pinkish reddish hue.
Bring in your gift box. We'll help you fill it.
I have a gift box. Bring it in. I'll fill it up for you. So we were looking at Knitting for Olive. We love this. This is the soft silk mohair.
I love everything about Knitting for Olive. Every single thing.
Plum rose. And the thing is too, when you are working with a mohair, you don't have to match it exactly. You can. Knitting for Olive has them match exactly. So that's awesome. So you've got that. But if you're going to put something that's a mohair with another color, you can do that. It's
gorgeous when you do it.
It's going to just change the look of your fiber.
It actually gives it depth.
Yeah. So it doesn't have to be exact. So if you're coming in and you're like, I need to match this, it doesn't always have to be exact. You can go, and I want to pull this color, or I want to have it lighten this, or I want to have it pop
We had somebody one night that didn't believe that. And when I did it, she was like, oh, you're right.
Yeah. So you don't have to be super matchy. You can play with your colors in a way that's going to brighten what you're working with, or not. It'll tone it down. So there's so much fun that you can do with just throwing, and it's not hard. People are like, I don't want to knit with two things together. You don't even notice you're doing it after like the first row. So it's not hard at all.
Pull them both at the same time and knit. Pull them both at the same time.
Yep. It's not like when you're working with color work and, Judy uses the two hands. I don't. I just can't wrap my brain around it. So I always end up having to untwist on the way back and twist, so it's not that complicated. They just work together for that. So those are some ideas. I have kits, so you can always build a kit. This is from Golden Coast Paso Robles. This is Emma's yarn. This is called Cali Monster. So it comes with these 3 different fun colors and lip balm.
So cute.
For Valentine's Day. And of course, who doesn't want Addies with hearts? Aren't those so cute? So, we can always build a kit to your specifications. But this one, I just went, oh, these are fun together. And I threw them in here. So all of these plus more are available if that's something you would like.
If you haven't seen Knitting for Olive, just the colors. You just come in and you feel like you're in an art gallery.
It's beautiful. Gorgeous. The dusty colors that they use.
They're flying off the shelves.
The dusty colors that they use I haven't seen them really anywhere else. And they do a great job with it. The yarn is fun. Judy's been working on, so I started this, it's Pearls of the Orient.
She said, you can do it. And I picked my 10 colors.
I did. I threw her. Well, she's the color work queen. I like it. I can do color work, but I prefer cables and yarn overs.
You tink back over 150 stitches twice in one day while being sick, it kills something.
Yeah, she was a little bitter. She was a little bitter about that. So she burned it in effigy in the parking lot and danced in the flames. But
I am doing something. It's on the same, kind of like on the same theme as Pearls of the Orient, but this is called Island Walker. And it's done on a really smaller
beautiful. I'm a little jealous. I kind of wish I was doing it now.
It's on a smaller scale, so it could be a scarf or a cowl.
Yeah.
And one side is different from the other. So you can hold that up if you want. That's the front side. And this is Knitting for Olive. And it fades into other colors. And it's just gorgeous. But
and then here's the back side.
And I can follow that chart a heck of a lot easier. And it's going. I just haven't worked on it for a couple of days.
It's beautiful. So
it is. I love it.
Pearls of the Orient, I've gotten maybe about this far, but it's huge. I mean, it's huge. And now I'm just like, do I love it? I like the colors, but it is very stripy looking. So I have to determine.
Well, that's just it. What I wrote down as I thought would be the colors I used. I didn't. Yep. And then as I went along, I went from the dusty, what is it? Aqua to the dusty artichoke.
Yeah.
And now you can barely see it, but I started the fennel.
Yeah.
And then I'm changing the shades of gold and browns as it goes. So I love it. I think it looks really good.
It's beautiful. So we have 2 weights here. We've got fingering weight and we've got the worsted weight. Now the worsted weight colors are the same. They're beautiful. But obviously it's a bit thicker. Okay.
And I am designing something that we can use with the worsted weight. It's going to be a cowl. and it'll be fun. It'll be a fall type cowl.
So let's talk about that right now. So Judy was like in my ear, hey, we need these, we need these, we need these. And I'm like, because I was
sick.
I was sick. I was moving things. I have a child that's really single-handedly trying to be the cause of my demise. All of these things going on. So she's been talking about these doodle
decks, card decks. And they're kind of interesting. If you've heard me
So here they're
talk, that's the Rhinebeck one.
This is the Rhinebeck doodle deck. This is Pacific Knit Company.
And you guys have heard me talk about my round robin cowl. And what we did was so neat. There were 6 of us, and we chose our motifs, and we chose our yarns, and we put it in a box so you couldn't see it. And then we each started our own.
Mm-hmm.
And then every month we would meet at a coffee shop and we would switch, we would move. And so I would get the next person's and I would add. We could not add any colors. We could not add any motifs, only what they put in.
Right.
And it was so much fun. And we've had some people asking about it. And so we're trying to think maybe this would be a fun way to do it. These are the autumn ones. Maybe do like a draw poker type thing. Come in, draw a card, and you put it together.
So these cards have just different. These different motifs that you would.
And you can get all 4 seasons plus Rhinebeck and plus one just
with a little fall. So we've got a little Halloweeny theme. We've got some borders that you would use. They've already obviously got the pattern set up for you, so you could set up.
Yep. And 24 count, and you can make an infinity cowl. You could make a short cowl. You can even do a sweater. I mean, a long.
This was the Rhinebeck.
Yeah, you could do even a long scarf. So I'm trying to devise it in a way that you come in, maybe call it knit draw or something, and you come in and you draw a card.
Put a sweater on your sweater.
Yeah, there's a grandpa sweater. You draw a card, and that's the one you do this month or whatever. So if you're interested, let me know, and we'll figure it out what we're going to do. Or maybe you buy a deck, and I help you design it.
And now I need to put that on my list of to do, but my list of to do is the size of Egypt. So I do need to find out if I can just get these for the shop because they are fun. But if you can pick them up, they definitely. Definitely cool.
Fun.
They're definitely cool.
They are cool. Rather than digging through books, and then a lot of times in the books, they're all different
stitch counts.
Yeah, stitch counts for the motif. So then you got to figure out, well, that one.
Then there's math involved, and
this is really cute. So I picked 5 colors of the worsted.
Yep.
I'm going to do the worsted with it.
Yeah, so that'll be fun, and so we can kind of pull that as a project that everyone works on.
Because I don't have enough started, and I should go ahead and start another.
I have only 4 projects just sitting there, like staring at me on the counter. My husband's like, "Is anyone going to do anything with these?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna. I don't have time right now."
Mine are all by my chair. So this is what they look like. Mm-hmm. They come like a little deck of cards.
Yeah. Really
so
cute.
I ordered them from a store just because I wanted to try it.
Yeah, there's Pacific Knitting Company, I believe, is who makes them.
Pacific Knitting Company. Yep. And I don't even think they don't have.
So Doodle Deck.
Yeah, they do right there.
PacificKnitCo.com. So I'll have to check them out to see if they will share their resources. Share their resources with us. So that's kind of a fun thing we're looking at. And by we, I mean her, because I can't right now. I'm just
color work.
Every time I turn around, I keep saying, I just put someone's like, hey, here, grab this, and it's fire. And I'm just trying to put the fire out, and then somebody else puts it in. It's been like my life each month has been, we did our bills for taxes, and we realized that the ridiculous amount of money we spent on pets over the last year is staggering. So I'm just trying to stay above.
It's
okay.
impossible.
So let's talk about, this book. Where did it go? So here is this book. This book is terrific. So Patty Lyons, if you are unfamiliar with Patty, you're not, or you've seen her a little bit, she is great. Okay. She's got all kinds of videos out there, hints, tricks. She does really fun. She's got a great personality. And when you're learning from her, she's not just like, and then there's this, and then you're like, I am not sure what she
explains how she arrived at that. Yeah. That helps a lot.
So that's what this book is. And so right out of the gates, you kind of want to start from the beginning with reading it. It's not like, oh, I want to make this, and then you cut right to it like some of the knitting books are. This is just a great philosophy around why is this not working for you? Well, maybe it's not the way you're doing it. Maybe it's your yarn. Maybe it's your needles. Maybe there's a lot of things that you're like, maybe it's not me. Maybe it is though. But anyway, so she's got some great philosophies. So one, as I tell people when they first start in a beginner knitting class with me, is that there are 115 ways to do everything in knitting, in crochet. This is my knitting class, but the cast on is one of them. And that's, of course, the first thing that I teach, because
There's a ton of them.
There's so many of them. And, and at first I feel like you just need to survive when you're trying to figure out knitting. So I teach long tail cast on. I teach actually the backwards loop for my littles, but I teach long tail cast on for my adult beginners because it's pretty universal. It's a cast on that you do see quite a bit. It's not difficult to manage. You don't have to know how to knit to do it, as far as, because that's the next step in knitting, but it is something that you see, long tail cast on. And I use a kind of my own version of it when I learned it, because my mom only taught me the knit stitch. She put the stitches on for me, and then I went from there. So the version I taught myself, I don't even know what it is. It's sort of like the long tail. So let's talk about what Patty has to say. And Judy's not a long tail cast on kind of girl.
I'm self-taught. And I couldn't figure it out. And I could figure out the others. So that's what I went with.
Okay, so let's see. Better to have
one of those. I'll just read a book and figure out how to do it.
Well, I'm all about reading books for just about everything in life, but sometimes it's okay. Where I had this marked, and then of course I brought it to work. And
I'm sorry, I probably pulled it out.
You did, jerk. Okay,
thank you.
See.
And you need help tomorrow.
Okay, so here's one of the things that she says is the Bob Vila rule. If he knit, measure twice, cast on once. Now, this method has never worked for me, but she suggests it. So what she's saying is when you are trying to cast on, what you do is you wrap your yarn around the number of stitches you want to cast on. And for me, that's never worked. That's why the knitted cast on is easier, because then you're not like, okay, I want to pull this much.
Yeah, and then you get all the way. You need 5 more stitches, and you're out of yarn.
And you have to start again. So that's one of the things that she says. So I mean, I guess let's say we're going to cast on 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11. Oh, I probably should have said it at the end. Oh, boo. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. All right, there's my 20. So I'm going to make my. Actually, she says don't make a loop, but I'm going to make a loop for this first cast on to see how we do. All right. So now if you are unfamiliar with this style of cast on, there's a couple different ways you can do it. But the one that I normally teach, okay, so when you've got your slip knot on, okay, what we do is I tell them, you kind of split your yarn. So you've got yarn that's attached to your skein, or your cake in this case. On one end, you're going to have this dangly long tail, hence the name, in there. And then you use, I say, your pinching fingers. You use your pinching fingers and you split the yarn apart. And then you're going to gather these 2 bottom pieces so that you've got kind of like this upside down V. And this is not an instructional video. So, obviously I'm not going to go really slowly. But so, and then once you pull this down, you go under, over, and then back through your original piece. Under, over, back through. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. All right. So that's kind of how that works. So one of the things she says is you don't want to start with a slip knot. Don't want to start with a slip knot. And there is kind of a philosophy about that too.
I use the slip knot and I don't have a problem. There's a lot of people that they start with a slip knot, but they don't count it as a stitch, and then they take it off when they get to it.
So I usually
and I've done that sometimes too, because I don't like the way it looks.
So I usually slip knot it just because, I don't know, that's how I've always done it. But there are definitely some philosophies that it is, you don't want knots in your yarn. You don't want knots in your extra knots in your knitting. And then I just always refer back to my way that I've done this without doing the little bunny rabbit thing. Let's see how we do on this. I'm just going to cast on.
You're kind of doing a knitted.
It's kind of a knit. I'm just not using the
working yarn.
Yeah, I'm just kind of going from there. All right, let's see what we've got here.
You got 20.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 21. I want mine too many.
Well, then it worked. You got it.
It worked. I got enough yarn. So that way could definitely work. I mean,
But if you're casting on 292 stitches, are you going to wrap for 292 stitches? And
no,
then I'm not going to, because then I'm bored.
No, I'm too lazy. I'm definitely too lazy for that. So that's kind of one of the things she says is that you, instead of using your slip knot, what you would do is, she says, better beginning, ditching the ugly knot. So what you would do is, instead of using your beautiful slip knot here, you would just kind of start as you would to cast on, and then it's not going to have that knot at the end. But I always feel like it's loose. So
yeah, it definitely changes mine.
Yeah. So I think that
kind of anchors it for me.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to use it, just take it off at the end. So if it says 292, put on 293 and take off the slip knot.
Yeah, when you come back to it across or however you're doing your knitting.
There was a big argument the other day on
let's talk.
Facebook, speaking of stitches, because of the loop that is on the cable or on your needle. Do you count that as a stitch, or is that the next time you knit it becomes a stitch? So if somebody says, well, how many rows have I done
for a yarn over?
No, just count it. And they were counting for, and they went, you've done 7. And there were people that went, no, you've only done 6, because you don't count the one that you just knitted onto the needle. And we're like, yeah, you do. You knitted it. It's been knitted.
I would count that.
There are people that do not.
Interesting.
And that they say that is not counted till you come back through the next time. But in that case, it's already been knitted, and you're just taking it off and knitting a new stitch on, to me.
Right.
But there was a big discussion on Facebook the other day about it.
Interesting.
I know. I'm like, huh.
I feel like once it's on a needle, it's a stitch.
That's what we said.
So even when you're
people
doing,
that said no.
So I've been working on, what was I working on here? I don't know. There's one of these things. I've got like 75 things in process right now. There's one that was like, okay, now have you done all these yarn overs? And they're like, and then they give you the count of what you should have. But those are sometimes challenging too, to figure out when you're going through and you're like, I still need to knit into this. Is that really a stitch? Yes, but
I count it as a stitch, even though I haven't knitted into it.
Right. And there was one where I was doing short rows, and I'm like, oh God, do you count that one as one? That when you pull the legs over, that's still one stitch, right? So when you're doing a German short row, right? Okay. So you knit, and then you flip, and then you pull the stitch over, and then
it does not count as a separate stitch.
Right. So that's just one stitch, even though it's two legs. Yeah,
because you knit the two together.
Because you knit those together. Okay, because that's what I was thinking. But sometimes the count was weird. So I'm like, are they counting this 2? Are they counting this 1?
Well, what becomes difficult is, and I've had to do it because and Patty Lyons actually said it. The first time you go over, because I used to say you have to knit one more. She says when you're doing German short rows, the first time over, you do not, because it's added in. No. Okay, never mind, because I got to think about this.
We don't want to misquote. We don't want to misquote Patty.
No, she's right. I was doing it the right way. She says the first time you get to that point, yes, you do one more, but then you don't, going back and forth. So if it says knit 8, and then it says, so you would knit 9.
Right, but then you flip the 9th one.
And then you turn, and you do all that. Then going back, it says knit 8, you knit 8, you don't do 9. You don't add one more on each time. It's just the very first time you do.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I've been doing it that right. I was doing that right too. So
okay, that's good. I was like, what have I done? I've screwed it all up. Yeah. So those are some of the things. So let's. She's talking about here with one of these things that we've been talking a lot about is casting on, and people will come in and just, there are certain things that you just can't change about your knitting in regards to, like, when stockinette is going to curl. It's just the nature.
It's going to curl.
It's going to curl because you've got stitches on one side that are in one direction, and then on the back side they are pulling. And she actually goes into this whole philosophy about why it curls. And you need to anchor it, and things are going to grow and things are going to stretch. And, that's why we usually do ribbing around the edges of certain things to kind of prevent that. And you can, if you've got a material that grows, it's going to stretch, you can put something with it like a mohair that's going to give it a little more form and a little more body.
Well, according to the one lady, Marty Albrecht, I think was her name, who, I brought that in, the sweater
Yeah.
companion.
Yeah.
She says unless you put ribbing, some sort of ribbing, no matter what the yarn is, it's going to grow as a sweater. It will grow. You have to anchor it.
Well,
And that's why you
gravity.
use ribbing.
Gravity. That's why we don't hang sweaters, right? Because if you hang them, it's going to pull and it's going to create weird shoulder things.
I call them
epaulettes.
shoulder tumors.
It's going to create these. but at the bottom too. So, and that's part of, learning, even just learning the whole art of knitting. And a lot of times I get people that come in and are like, why did this happen? Or how do I prevent this? You have to understand your yarn first and foremost, because
We've
changes.
had that talk before.
Your yarn changes the structure of even if you're using what they recommend or something like that, it's still dependent upon you. It's dependent upon how you knit. And then there's a lot more to figuring out, is this going to fit me, than just following the main instructions.
It's a good question to ask them. What are your expectations for this yarn? What do you want this yarn to do? And then if they pull out a pattern with a sweater and you're going, it's never going to look like that because that's not the right yarn.
Right.
Then they understand.
Right. Or sometimes they don't. And that's okay too. But, it's better to find out before you've spent time and money on a project. And sometimes, you go in and you buy yarn and you have it shipped to you and you've spent a pretty penny on it. And you get it, and it's just at some point you might need to say, this isn't what I wanted it to be. It might need to be something different.
I like that, because when I worked in a retail store, it was, the archiver scrapbook store. I heard a customer do that one time because I heard the manager say, why are you returning this? And she said,
tuberculosis.
It didn't meet my expectations. And I went, that's a perfect answer.
Yeah.
So that's what I say. I was always so grateful to the little yarn shop when I was first teaching myself how to knit, because it was in the summer. And of course I wasn't working, and I would go there, and she had all her books upstairs. And so she'd turn on the air conditioning for me if nobody was up there. And I'd go up and I'd look at the books, and I'd look at her yarn, and I'd look at the books, and I'd yell down, are you busy? And she'd go, no. So she comes up and I'd say, okay, so if I did this sweater, what yarns would work with it? And she'd take over and she'd go, this yarn would work. And I go, not the yarn that's in this hat. And she'd go, no. And I'd say, why?
Yeah.
And so she taught me about weight,
right,
and all. And it didn't always click.
Right.
And I knew she was like, God, this girl's never going to get it. But then it finally clicked with me. And I liked that, because I could go in, and I would go in yarn stores and just say, can I look at your books? And they'd go, yeah. And then I would ask questions about it. And from there, I kind of figured it out.
Well, and even if, I have this customer that is trying to create this sweater, and she's like, well, I ordered the yarn that she said. And I'm like, but again, it might not be, even just your knitting style might not be the same way, especially if you're a newer knitter. I mean, you're still trying to learn all the basics, and your expectations may be far greater than what the yarn is capable of. And, you might be disappointed. So,
well, you know what happens with a new knitter? They accidentally split the stitch.
That happens.
And then they counted.
Yeah.
And then it's like, why do I have more stitches?
Right. Well, there's a lot of things. So, people, when they come in, and when you come in and you want help on mistakes, and I have no problem helping anybody with mistakes, as long
She's
as
really good at it.
As long as I'm not too busy, I will help you. And then we have a time that you can come in and ask some questions, and that's specific for that. But and sometimes, so I was helping someone, and she's like, why did this happen? And I'm like, well, because you did this. And she's like, no, I didn't.
Okay.
So,
well, you tell me why you did it.
Okay, that's fine. But so again, you've got to be open to listening too, if you want to learn, if you want to figure. And you know what one of the beauties of brand new knitters is they're not afraid of trying new things, because they're like, I want to make this, and I have no idea how to do any of this. And I'm like, okay, that may be.
That was always me.
Yeah, let's throw out this. I didn't know I couldn't do intarsia. I didn't know I didn't. The only thing I was afraid of was cables, for whatever reason.
You love cables.
I love cables, but I was scared about them.
But they're not my thing.
Cables and lace are my favorite things, because that to me is like a real mental challenge that I have to do. But yeah, you're a color work girl. But anyway, so there's all kinds of tips in this book. If this is something that, if you're a newer knitter, or you just want to go, this is something I haven't thought about. I like this book. Knitting Bag of Tricks by Patty Lyons. We don't have it at the shop, but they definitely have it on Amazon.
And if you like to start fights on Facebook, just quote something
if you
from it
want to start a
and
fight
watch them go nuts.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
Yeah, definitely.
You still have people that say you don't need to block. I never block anything. It's like, have you looked at your work?
You know what? There's a lot of people that don't swatch, that don't block, and that's okay. That's fine. But it doesn't make it, it's not the only way.
My friend Barb, the 90-year-old, that still knits. She's been knitting since she was age of 3. Still plays tennis, all that stuff. And she doesn't really swatch. She just starts and goes, nope, this isn't going to be big enough. Whips it out, adds 4 more stitches. Or she calls me and I'm like, you have been knitting 5 times.
As long as I have.
And you're asking me a question. Why are you asking me a question? I don't know. You just act like you know. Yeah, see, I fake it a lot.
Right. Well, that's how we do, right? Yeah. Well, that's the whole thing. Especially when you've been knitting a really long time. We have this one customer, Janet, that can just whip out a cable sweater like
she almost went into knitwear design.
It's beautiful. Her stuff is beautiful, but she doesn't even have to look. She's like just knitting with the 3rd needle. Like it's no big deal to me. I do have to focus. That's.
And she's like, well, I think I'm going to change the way this looks on the side.
She just goes, I'm not doing it that way.
Yeah, I'm not doing
it that way. So
she says that more than me.
She does. So fun sweater out there. If you want to work on a little sweater, we've got a couple projects coming up. And one of them is a dog sweater. So Stephen West, apparently his dogs are far better behaved than mine because mine refused to let me try on the dog sweater on them despite any bribes or threats. So it is now on a Bengal tiger stuffed animal from my daughter's stash. This is really cute. It's called the Dustland Dog Sweater. It is just some basic knitting and purling. It
creates really cute different stitches. It's almost like a sampler.
It is. It's really cute. And it's for all different kinds of sizes. So I tried to stick with my Frenchie because I had these visions that are like, oh, look at his Frenchies. I have 2 Frenchies too. I can make them all sweaters. And my dog's like, you know what, lady? No. They do have this option too. And he sets it up so that it comes to not a point, but like a square in the back here and gives you the option to put a harness hole in there. I didn't do it because I would put it on just for them in this, but
see, I put a harness on and then I put Maggie's clothes on.
Yeah, I usually do too, but if it's just cold in the house, I would have them wear this.
Oh, would you?
So that's that, but they have you measure it. There are some short rows in the back. Real cute.
It's adorable.
It knits up really fast.
It's too small for Maggie, but it's cute.
Well, you could make it Maggie's size very easily. The pattern allows for it.
Her problem is she's broad in the shoulders.
Well, that's how we have to measure really for adult sweaters too.
Here.
In fact,
she's like a swimmer.
Well, that's one of the things I was talking to someone the other day. We were looking at the field sweater and how to do your measurements for it because it's set up and kind of oh, look at that, the segue. Because I have a class this weekend on you could do either the cardigan like I made. Here's my cardigan. I still haven't put buttons on it, but here's the back of it. Here's the back of it. Yeah. So the measurements, and I'm like, don't, because they say, well, from under the arm, but for some people, if you do like under the arms, it's still not the biggest part of your body that you're going to be trying to cover. So you have to find the biggest part of your body because it's great if it fits your waist, but your boobs are too big for it. Like that's always happens to me.
Well, it happens with cardigans, and then it's like here on me, and I want it here.
Right.
So that's why stern boobs fit so well.
Yeah, we'll have to show that one in a second. But that's the thing. So when you're starting to even look at how much yarn you need for a project, do your measurements from the part that's the largest and go from there. You can always add and subtract if you need to make it a little smaller on the edges. But start with the biggest part of your body. That's what you want to measure to.
Know how to measure. That's the thing. You got to know how to measure.
Here's stern knocker.
Stern knocker is done, and it fits perfectly.
Look at this. Isn't it so pretty? Look at this thing. It's absolutely gorgeous.
It fits really well.
And she did the cute little pockets here.
I don't think I'd do the pockets again, but I did them because I wanted. And then I ended up not even doing them the way she said to do them.
Of course you didn't.
Well, I changed
Judy,
it around
I'm a middle child.
Like, you got to show the inside.
Judy, I'm a middle child. I do what I want. You're not the boss of me. All right, let's see.
Because, you got to cover up the raw edges. So there's
That's
my,
so cute. Oops, just threw a needle.
love this ribbon to put on.
That's really cute. And I can't remember the name of what's the place that you get your ribbons
RenaissanceRibbons.com.
Renaissance Ribbons. So if you're looking
They
for
do
something,
the most beautiful ribbons. And it, it's going to flop open. You want it to look good.
That's right. That's right. So there's that beauty. And if you are interested in making this is Kate Davies. All hail. This is Kate Davies, 10 years in the making. It's actually the cover.
Is there going to be a class? Are we going to do a class?
Probably.
Okay.
Probably. I just don't want to overwhelm you. I'm just like, Judy, you have no life, right?
No,
she
right
does.
now.
She does now. And
I know. I do tomorrow, and you need me to work tomorrow, and I can't.
Well, that's all right. That's all right. I mean, I didn't ask you to the last minute. I just didn't realize I was like quintuple booked like a dumbass. And I'm like, and now we're open in the new shop. Come in and shop at the new side. We're fancy.
She called yesterday. I was working for her because our new hours are 12 to 7. So I come in at 12.
On Thursdays.
On Thursdays. Just Thursdays.
Yeah.
What time was it that you called? About 3?
3. So I called because
it was so funny. It had been kind of quiet. Maybe one in, maybe one here.
But no sales, nothing to keep her like, going nuts. So I called because we got Spectrum, and because in this specific business park, you can only have Spectrum for your internet. And so I called Spectrum and they needed to come fix something. So the guys called. Now, we were very hard to find at the beginning. Okay, we were. And I was tucked in the middle of this building, and I gave real specific directions on the website, and people would laugh. But literally almost every person that came to the shop was like, wow, you're so hard to find. And I'm like, I know, just give me some time. We're going to grow. Now we've grown. Now you can come in the front door. Now we're the first
You come straight in through to the parking lot. We're right there.
Yeah, the first thing
if your brakes would give out, you'd come right through the window.
Don't do that though. I finally got to where I want to be. Like, let's not, let's give it at least a month before we drive through the window. But anyway, so I'm like, we're right here. So they call and they're like, where are you? And I explained. I said, well, you'd pull in. I said, I'm the first building you see. I'm building F. I'm right in the middle. I'm right there in the front. Calls. So you're in the back? I'm like, no, I'm not in the back. If you go through the parking lot, it's a square. And he's like, and I'm like, I'm the first building when you pull in the square. I'm in the middle. That's the middle building. When you drive around the square in the middle, that's a building. He's like, yeah. I'm like, that's the building I'm in. Calls back a third time. So are you back in near the family, blah, blah, blah? I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm in now it's taking me longer to describe where I am than to just drive here and show him. And thankfully I was giving a test. So my students, because I'm a professor, my students were off taking the test. So I called Judy to say, hey, if there's some like weirdo guy standing in the window, they're weird. They may be weird, but they're supposed to be here.
Meanwhile, it's 8. Excuse me. 8 people.
8 people are here. So I call her just to tell her, hey, heads up. And I'm figuring it's dead because this is only the second Thursday we've been open from noon to 4, which normally we're closed at that time. She's like, there's 8 people in here. I can't talk. I'm like, okay.
I was ringing up this huge order and it goes, call from Tracy Winslow. I was like, I don't have time to talk to her. Who does she think she is? It's a yarn shop or something? Like, I don't have time.
Like, okay.
I'm being held hostage by all these women. You'd have to meet the women. The women were hysterical.
No, it was great. It was so much fun. They're so much fun. It's just a really good. Nancy brought her friends, and I appreciate everybody supporting my little venture here. And so I finally flagged down. I'm like, guys, it's right here, right here. He's like, oh, okay. So, but anyway, it's been fun. So, we do have a couple new colors in that I wanted to talk to you about. So, Cumbria, this is the fiber company, and this is a great yarn. It's worsted weight. It's wool, but it's got a little bit of mohair in it. The mohair is good because it softens it. You don't get it's not a fluffy halo like if you added the mohair to it. So if you marled it with, something like this one, it's going to give you that extra bit of halo fluff. It doesn't have that, as you can see, probably from the density of this yarn, but it softens it. So it's not that like feeling on your skin. So this is a great yarn, especially if you're doing anything color work too, because it's nice and bright and saturated. But the yarn construction is beautiful. So if you have something like a nice cable or something where you want to really show off your stitch definition, this is a great yarn for that. Great yarn for that. So these are the 3 new colors that we have with Cumbria. This one is Derwent Water. Sorry if I'm slaughtering these names. This one is Blen Cathra
This is Cowberry.
and Cowberry. So these are 3 of the colors, and I had just added. This one is
They're gorgeous.
This one's actually my favorite. This one's called Fairhill.
Isn't that
This one's called
pretty?
Fairhill. You can't
Look at that with
tell
that.
though all the colors are in it until it's all knitted up because it's got oranges. It's got like a turquoise.
It's very tweedy.
It's got greens. It's got like
It's
a
gorgeous.
gold behind it. So when you play with it, it comes out and you're like, oh wow, it's really it's beautiful. But again, it's not scratchy. It's worsted. Wait, what else do we have here? This one is called Appleby Castle that we've got.
It's a little darker than this one.
Yep, and I saw that one.
Oh, look, when you pull this up, this one becomes more purple. Look at that.
Yep.
And you put this by itself. Look how reddish it is.
Yep.
Put it with the burgundy and it becomes purple.
Yep.
Isn't that interesting?
Here's this one. Saddleback Slate is upside down. Saddleback Slate is this color. So
Oops.
I'm back
Maybe
there.
something.
So they have, I don't know, I have White Heather, I believe is the other name. Did I get this one? Yeah. Let's see. What else do we have? Yeah, this is
That's the one.
This one's White Heather. And this one is Scaffold Pike. So
It's real oatmeal-y. I
really,
love anything the oatmeal color.
yeah, really beautiful. And it holds well. It's a good price point. It's got some decent yardage to it. 236 yards. So pretty typical for worsted weight. Yeah, so this is a really good project piece. So if you're doing something that, a nice sweater, this is the time of year we should say, don't do a boyfriend sweater. Okay, they're cursed, right? You know the story. But if you are going to do one, buy the yarn from me. So at least one of us will end up happy. Okay. So those are some things that you want to come play with here at the shop. We do have a new yarn line coming. I'm really excited.
You have to come in to find out.
Yeah, we're not going to tell you here. You got to stop in.
We're not telling.
I'm not going to tell because it's going to be good. It's going to be good. I had to reach out and be like, let me love your yarn. And they laughed and they were like, okay. So
if you promise not to stalk us anymore, we'll let you sell the yarn.
They were like, okay, crazy lady. I guess, when anyone that's that excited about yarn, we should allow her sell it. So that's that. We are going to do a couple of charities coming up in the next few months once I can finally breathe. I don't know when that'll be, but this is a great program, Knitted Knockers. Okay, so this is a program here, knittedknockers.org. If you are unfamiliar with them, they provide breast prosthetics for women that have had a mastectomy or double mastectomy due to breast cancer. And so this yarn is great. They have real specific guidelines about the pattern that you use and the yarns that they will accept because they want them to be something that's washable, that's something that is going to wear well, is not going to be irritating, things like that. So I do carry a couple of different types of yarns that are accepted. And I've got the patterns for you. And I am one of the drop-off zones. So if you have some that you've made, I will ship them out. Right now, I've got a bag that's getting ready to go. So bring them in. But this is a great campaign. Just wonderful, wonderful. And the other thing that we're going to do is we are going to start to do probably in March so I can get a few weeks of marketing behind it. I want to do, we're going to start to make hats for the chemotherapy clinics here. There's one in Savannah. They're just in desperate need of chemo hats. So if this is something that you would like to participate in, I do have some yarn that you can take if you want to make one of the hats for it. They're not really specific about anything. They just want something that when they come in, they can grab one of these hats, that they're soft. Don't want to have a wool. You don't want to have something that's super scratchy. You want something that's going to be, a nice comfort, cozy to put on. But I do have some yarn here that I will donate to the cause. So if that's something you would like to donate yarn to, I have a box for that. And if you would like to pick up the yarn and then make a hat and then bring it back, we will donate it to the chemotherapy center.
The chemo rooms, I think they keep cold.
Yeah,
somebody said.
Yeah, so they're always a little bit chilly while they're in there, and so there's lots of great things you can do. But those are two things that we're participating in this time of year. So if you'd like to be a part of that, reach out, and you can always reach out to me too at shrimpandknits.com. Were you working on something else? I feel like you had another project.
Shake rag.
Oh yeah, so let's talk about that. This is cool.
Shake rag is kind of a neat. It's through Modern Daily Knitting, and the first year, Modern Daily Knitting does a weekend retreat every June, and it's in Sewanee, Tennessee. And it's at this on top of a mountain, and it's at this private school that's a boarding school. It's just gorgeous. And they do this little weekend thing. So this was the shake rag top. And I never really did it or wanted to play with it. And I'll tell you the reason why it's called shake rag, and the whole conference is called shake rag. And during the summer they do artist retreats every week. There's a 2-week, and they do different things: dyeing, sculpture, anything. Lena would love it.
Yeah,
Lena would absolutely love it for 2 weeks. So they call it the shake rag conference because it was a really big area for moonshine during the Prohibition. And so there were all these moonshine distilleries up in the mountains and in these hills and in these woods. And when people wanted to find them because they heard they had some ready, they would tie a rag on a stick and wave it. So it's called shake rag. So the shake rag top is really easy. It's just straight knitting in the round. But what you do is, and I'm not far along that you can see it. You're just now starting to see the difference.
What, did you want to sleep last night?
Huh?
Did you want to sleep last night or something?
No, I didn't do this last night. No, I took that medicine last night.
Oh.
If you got a cough.
Tangent.
I got to pick this up. Adult Robitussin nighttime max strength. You take your little shot of it. I'm not kidding. I took a shot of it, read 2 sentences, and went,
coma.
I was out, comatized. But I woke up and I did not cough all night long. So anyways, it looks like a stripe as you do it. Mm-hmm. It's not. You're knitting with 2 strands for 6 rows. Then you knit with 1 strand for 6 rows. And you just keep going back and forth. I don't know whether you can see. Yeah, you can start to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it starts. So everybody's like, well, you're using 2 yarns. No, not 2 different yarns. It's just 1 yarn. And it makes a really cute little summer tee.
What do you do with the yarn? Do you carry it up the side?
Yeah, you just carry it up. When you remember to. I forgot last night. Like, oh, well, that's supposed to be a little tiny carry. That's going to be a big carry up. Because I forgot before race. But yeah, and it just kind of, it's mindless knitting, but it makes the cutest summer top. And you just knitting around to here, then you separate and do the front and the back, throw the shoulders, and it's done.
I have to say, I've had a couple people bring stuff in that they had some questions with or needed help casting on or what have you. And so I've had some sleepovers. A few things have come home to the Winslow residence to get work on. And in fact, one of my customers just brought a whole sweater that all the pieces are done. And she's like, ugh.
I don't know what to do.
So she's like, can you just put them together? I'm like, I'll charge you a couple tutoring hours and we'll call it even. But anyway, so one project that I've cast on now for 2 different people is the Zig-Zack, Zick, Zack scarf.
I thought it was just Zik.
I think it's CK.
Okay.
I thought it was CK. I may be making it up. Hold on. I'll grab it for you as far as, look it up while I grab, entertain the masses while I grab the.
I don't know. I don't know.
I think it's in the other room. So anyway.
Well, yeah, because Marjorie was using it.
It needed a sleepover.
Careful.
Here I go. See? That's why I can't have nice things, Judy.
I don't know why I let her go.
So this scarf is a lot of fun. The beginning setup is challenging because it's kind of counting. So you go and you add, and then you come back, and then you knit 2 together, but then you add 1, and so it creates this little kind of, zigzag chevron type of thing. And so one of the things that one of my customers actually said is if you throw stitch markers every, it's 10 or 12, I'd have to see the count, but every time that the pattern changes, you'll remember if there's an issue, then you're only within that parameter. So if you get to the end and you can't add 1 or for whatever reason, then you got to go back, but only within those stitches. So that's a great one. But this is really fun projects. So if you want to check it out, you use 2 different kinds of yarn, and then you just knit across and then purl back, and then change your yarn, knit across with the second yarn, purl back, go back to the first.
It is Zick, but it's all one word.
Zig-Zack scarf. This is super fun. And I have someone.
There's several of them there. The one we use is by Christy Kamm.
Yes.
Kamm.
Yep.
And she looks like this on Ravel.
Yep. I think I had the pattern somewhere on my site. If this is a great project. And if this is something you're interested in, I will help you cast on. And in fact, I have someone from Island Glass House. Hello. They saying they need help with the setup. I will be happy to set you up. And, it's just going to, instead of a tutoring, I'll do a setup fee for it. But I'll be very happy to get you set up on some of because sometimes the beginning, you're just like, oh. And in fact, with the field sweater this weekend, I've asked the people that are taking it just to do the ribbing because
that takes so long.
Well, it's you can do
There's
it.
Your whole class.
That's your whole class is just getting it set up. So if that's something on a sweater, I mean, if it's just a little thing, you can do ribbing really quickly. Well, I've already helped you. Well, terrific. I'm glad I've already helped you. So
she's out the door now.
I just went here. Okay, now let me in. Oh, here's my stuff. I'm just gonna leave it in a bag. You'll figure it out. But anyway, so this is a great fun pattern.
It is. And once you kind of memorize it, I mean, after a while it becomes if you screwed up because it's like, that's not right. And you know how to fix it.
Exactly.
Got to do about this
and
much.
It's the same back and forth.
Yeah.
It's the same back and forth. So you just have to, the hardest part is remembering how to keep your yarn. Which one am I on now? But this is a really fun pattern that we have here.
It's popular.
It is.
It's been popular since we brought it in.
This one is
I haven't been able to wear it for a year.
No, I can't give yours back. It's rude. That's just rude of me. This one Judy made. Isn't this beautiful? This one is called Alpine Bloom hat. And I've seen a couple different versions. This woman came in yesterday. Hers was stunning too.
You can't do
stunning.
You can't do a bad
Oh my gosh, hers was all blues and greens.
Oh yeah,
stunning. So this is great. This looks nice, pretty fall colors. I mean,
I used Unique and I started from the center because I thought it would only be a little bit of green and then go into the greens and purples, and it didn't because the Unique yarn takes longer.
It's because it's self-striping.
But I had so much left over, I could do 2 or 3 more.
Yeah,
and each one would be different.
And
there's a group on Facebook that is color work. And everybody does it. And everybody jumps on the Alpine Bloom hat to see what they do. And the colors, any color is gorgeous. Some people do it as all solid.
Oh, yeah.
Some people do it like I did at the variegated.
It is absolutely beautiful.
Gradated.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful. So that's fun. And it's because the way, what I like about this type of color work is you don't really have to think about your floats for the most part because you're changing. Look how beautiful hers are, but you're changing your colors so much that you're not having to go 1, 2, 3 here. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, there's very few rows that you have to do that.
Yeah. So this one's a really.
It was fast. I did it in like 2 days while being sick.
Beautiful.
And you got the
and this one, this is the one she said to me and a group of our friends, and this one absolutely cracks me up. Here's the Martini beanie, and I love these 2 colors together. In fact, I was thinking of doing a stripy sweater with these.
Somebody said, "Well, those are more like margaritas." I'm calling them margaritas.
Okay, well, they're
fine. And what rhymes with margarita?
Right. So it's
Martini
beanie, margarita, Chiquita banana. So
there is a group. There's a group on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, and it's called Ravelry Free Patterns. Okay, and like this one was the designer made it. And it was free for 24 hours.
Right.
And they give you the code. Mm-hmm. So you go to Ravelry and you pick it up for free. So I get a ton of them like that. I just sent you another one the other day.
Yeah, there was a really pretty one with trees, right? It was like
the forest trees or whatever. Let me find it.
Those are really beautiful too. There's a lot of different variations. In fact, you've done one. Was it Twilight? She's got a couple where it's like the variation one. Of like, it looks like trees and maybe a sunset or Twilight. It makes sense. Beautiful. They're absolutely beautiful. A lot of fun for color work. Now
this one is Where the Forest Meets the Sky.
Oh, that's the one you sent yesterday. Yeah. That one's
they're
really
only free for 24 hours, so you got to get in there and get it right away.
Right. So
but a lot of designers do that to get their sales up, because if you do that, then on the Ravelry page where it says patterns, what's popular for the last 24 hours, it pushes it up to the top.
Right. And that's how I find some of these things. And I'm putting it out in the world right now. I'm going to do ranunculus this year. You hear it. I'm putting it out to the world because
that's your New Year's
resolution? My New Year's resolution is I'm going to do that darn thing because I'm tired of being the one out of 780 million people that have. I done it except for Tracy.
Well, they get so excited because everybody's done ranunculus.
They're like, oh, you haven't done ranunculus? I've done it.
So they come in and they go, I did a ranunculus.
I did ranunculus. It's like, so easy. I don't know what your problem is. It's so simple. I'm like,
please don't tell her.
So
because there's a lot of crying, well,
It's
I have to
awkward.
calm her
The good news is
down.
I
I
have a
to talk her
desk
off the
now. I
cliff.
can climb under the desk and do my crying and my
So funny.
ridiculous. But I'm going to do that darn
Well,
thing.
somebody said to me yesterday, "Why haven't you done one?" And I went, "Because I don't like it. I'm sorry. I look at that and I go, that's really pretty, but it's not what I want to do, and it wouldn't look good on me."
Mhm.
And they just looked at me and go, "Well, 9 million people have done ranunculus," and I went, "And I won't be
And
one
I'm
of them.
not. I'm not that
It's
one.
not
Right.
me.
No,
Sorry."
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Well, you know what? When I first started the yarn store, I could knit. I could definitely, but I've certainly learned a lot in my 2 years of playing with yarn and trying different things and going, I want to teach this for a class, and then having to learn what the heck I'm doing as I go. So a lot of it's trial and frogging. There's been a lot of frogging and threats of burning yarn if it doesn't behave,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
timeouts.
She
I've still
sends
got
me a text and there'll be a open flame in her hand. And I'm like, "What are you burning now?"
that's just
And don't forget our little gnome city.
that we've got so Robin, very talented. She's actually going to teach this class here. Look at this little guy. So cute.
She just whips one out in a couple hours.
She's altered this pattern. Okay, so this one's a little bit like St. Patty's Day. She's going to teach how to duplicate stitch. I remembered it this time. How to duplicate stitch. How to make this cute little beard. So cute,
and she has a different way of filling it too. Forget.
She's got some like beads.
They're not beads. It's a type of seed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember what it is, because it's better than stuffing, because whatever the little seeds are, they fill in.
Yeah.
Stuffing gets lumpy and it doesn't, and this fills in so that they sit.
Yeah. And look at how cute the bottom is. Look at that little guy. He's so cute.
He's so cute.
He's so cute. Yeah, so I have a little army of them. And so Robin's teaching that. My daughter is teaching the crochet version. So both classes and all the stuff is included in the fee. So if that's something you want to play with, we'll take care of everything.
And give the trivia question. Could be on Final Jeopardy today.
Oh.
What do you call gnomes where you can't see the eyes?
Gonk.
Gonk.
Gonk. Yep. So
that could be a Final Jeopardy question.
Okay, gonk, or you can't see that. So they are distinct. They're supposed to be harbingers of good luck, fortune, or whatever. And I'm like, I'm here for it. I will take whatever good luck, fortune, whatever you want, prayers, whatever you're throwing my way. That's positive. Also got I got a pretty mean comment on Yelp. And I was floored by it. I really was floored. So somebody on Yelp said that when in a class that I completely not lambasted. What was the verbiage? Do you remember?
I can't remember.
So anyways, I was very awful to a customer, and I literally was shocked because
everybody that knows Tracy was shocked.
I was like,
because it came into me and I went, "Did you see?" And I said, "Yeah, I just saw that the other day. It didn't make any sense. Why?"
And at the end of the day, guys, it's a yarn store. Like, I want you to buy my yarn. That's why we're here.
I know.
So, when I'm teaching a class and it says in 3 different places, that yarn is you need to purchase the yarn from the store to take the class. That's most
the policy.
And most yarn shops, that's a policy. If you look at yarn shops all over the place, that's the point, is we're trying to sell more yarn. So, I was absolutely floored. So if
what was the other one? She didn't post a review, but she was texting you and she was saying you should tell people that.
Oh, I have a woman that's missed 2 classes and she's like, "Well, you didn't send me a reminder." I'm like, "Lady, dude, seriously, like I cannot possibly do one more thing. If you see my schedule,
when you sign up, this is your reminder." I don't expect.
I can't add one more thing for me to do. Like, anytime someone says you should do this, I want to cry. Like, I cannot do anything
that's
else.
Because doctors and dentists and even my hairdresser, it's automated. It automatically comes up. We don't do that.
It's just me. I have to do it if it's going to be, something that you need to do this. I can't do anything else.
No, I don't. I
don't have time for this.
I just say some things need to be your responsibility, and that's one of them.
I mean, I don't, I have college students that I'm like, guys, it's out there. Okay, if you need to know, look on our website, look on Canvas. All my classes are out there. If you have a question about the time, just open up the website. It's right there. Just open up the class. All the details are right there. So I was floored because I would never degradate. I can't remember the word that she used, but it was that I would just like went off on some woman in a knitting class. And I really take pride in the fact that my knitting classes are very fun.
They're very
and
popular.
they sell. Like, in fact, I put one out this morning and it sold out. Like, it sold out. Like, somebody went to sign up for it and it was already gone. I'm like, oh, that sold out quickly.
It's, I always say we're all adults and we all have certain responsibilities. And I get on this kick because people do it like on Facebook or whatever. All they got to do is go to the website and look at the hours, but they want somebody else to do it for them. So it's always like, well, what hours are the pool open?
Right.
Well, what days can you take the kids to this pool?
Right.
And it's like, it's on the site. Instead of just getting on and expecting somebody else to go look it up for you, grow a pair and go look it up yourself. Pull up your big girl britches and do your own responsibility.
And if you're unhappy,
not your mother.
And if you're unhappy, talk to the business owner.
Yeah.
I mean, there is no way I would ever, go off on somebody in my shop. Never. Even there's been a few I wanted to, and I would never do that.
Probably I would before she would, but
no,
but
never.
I would say you got two hands, look it up yourself.
And to me, I'm just like, hey, if you're disappointed, let me know. Let me know, because oftentimes that's not ever been my intent. But talk to the small business owner before you just get on Yelp and give them a bad review, because I only have a handful of reviews. So now all of a sudden my store went from here to like, I'm like, oh God, somebody else leave me a good review. So if you're bored and want to leave me a good review, God bless you. Thanks. But anyway, we have taken up an hour of your life. Hopefully it's been fun and you've maybe learned a little something along the way.
And Nancy, coffee, a little bit of salted caramel syrup. That is all. Nancy yesterday accused us of having more than just coffee in these drinks when we do it.
No, it's just caffeine, straight up caffeine and sugar in mine. Whee! Anyway, thank you so much. If you like what you see, support us by subscribing, B, sharing, and C, putting the good word out there.
Laugh with us.
Well, laughing is all solves all, really, at this point. But yeah, we're so glad that you are a member of our family. Please stop by, come see the new place. It really is.
It's gorgeous.
I'm happy. I'm happy with it.
So gorgeous.
We're finally ready to say it's our grand reopening. Now, we didn't move. We just expanded our space. So now we're in double the space that we were before. You don't have to go for people to get by to look at yarn.
That's what I said. We no longer have to slap our chests up on the table so people can shop behind us. We don't have to do that.
If you want Judy to, she will. I mean, she'll still do that, but
it's going to cost you.
Thank you guys so much. We hopefully will be back in a couple of weeks, but we're lifing and we're trying to do the best we can.
And we're trying to stay healthy.
So I was just going to say, stay healthy. Hopefully she'll be done with her tuberculosis by then. It'll be
2 more weeks of the cough,
at
according
least
to the doctor.
At least 2 more weeks. So thank you guys so much. And again, have a great day. Take care.
Bye. Enough. We're still here.
I know. Sorry, we're still here.
We're still waiting.
We need a tech person. Bye.
Good job.